Hi, my name's Gareth. I'm a fully qualified snowshoe guide. Until recently, I worked commercially in the Port du Soleil area. Now I work for Alpine Property. But people still ask me about snowshoeing, which is fair enough. So I thought I'd make a little video just to tell you a bit about the snowshoes themselves. I should say, if you're only going to go snowshoeing once or twice, don't bother buying them. Just go to one of the local hire shops. They've all got snowshoes and they're generally €8 or €9 a day, so very reasonably priced. So you don't need to know anything. But if you think you might want to go more than once, especially during these COVID times, I'm filming this at the moment during the lockdown in my cellar, hence the warm coat because it's only 6 degrees down here, and we suspect that more and more people are going to want to go out for a snowshoe or for a ski tour or for a walk to get away from being in the lifts. But we'll see. We have to wait and see what happens this winter. Just to say something on the subject of clothing, a coat like this is useful to take with you if you're going to be stopped for a snack or a cup of tea or a chat, or you think you're going to be stopped to the shade for a long time, but it's way too much for actually snowshoeing because you're going to be expending energy. It's harder work than skiing, so you're going to get warm. So you'll find you'll probably wear a lot less clothing than you thought. Pretty much the only way to deal with this is to take a rucksack, because you'll start off cold at the beginning and you'll quickly warm up and you'll want to take a few layers off and pop them in the rucksack. Some people are tempted to put long johns and salopettes on and dress up as if they're going out on a cold ski day. That's not a good idea because unless it is particularly cold, you'll overheat, and taking long johns off whilst you're out in the forest is very awkward. So best not to overdress. Take a rucksack so you can take a few layers off and carry on like that. So let's get on with the snowshoes themselves. Right, we've got 2 snowshoes here. They're slightly different sizes. They're both made by the same people, TSL. They're a local make, made in Annecy. Most of the local guides use these, mostly because we've got a good supplier. And they're designed for our local conditions. Snowshoes are designed for different parts of the world. I'll explain that a bit as we go on. So this is the 3 series. This is the most sold. These are adult ones, suitable for someone that's about 80 kilos. This is for a girl, probably about 60 kilos. It's all down to surface area. One's bigger than the other. It doesn't have to be too complicated. When you're buying them, it'll say on the packet what weight these are suitable for. These ones are for 30-40 kilos, which would be for a kid. These ones here, so getting even smaller. And then again for a child, these are really simple elasticated fitting. So once these are on, it's quite hard for them to fall off, so they work really well for children. So yeah, these would do kind of 10-12-year-old. Get them out of the way. So yes, these brightly coloured ones are the 3 series. The cheaper ones are the 2 series. I've had these for 15 years. This was the first pair I bought. These are the ones I use myself, and that just shows you how much value you can get out of a pair of snowshoes. If you look after them, they shouldn't break, even though they are made out of plastic. And you'd think that when it got cold, plastic would be a problem, but seems that this plastic is not a problem in the cold. These snowshoes have a very basic strap and plastic clip fixing system, which works fine if you're just going to keep the snowshoes to yourself. So you just adjust them once, they fit your feet, and that's fine. But if you're going to be sharing them with your partner or with friends, these plastic clips can be a bit awkward, which is why on the slightly more expensive ones, it's a more expensive clip, this snowshoe style clip, but they're very easy to use. They don't ice up, and they also work better with different shoes and boots, but I'll explain that in just a moment. Next series up is the 4 series. These are slightly better because they actually allow descending to be a little bit easier. The plate pops down below the level of the snowshoe. All snowshoes are designed to make it easier going uphill, so they have heel lifters. You can see the heel lifter here lifts the heel a few centimeters, so when you're going uphill you don't have to strain your calves so much. So on the flat, this piece stays there out the way. Going uphill, it's flipped over. It's designed that you can flip it over with a ski pole without reaching down. Good luck with that. There you go, that'll help you go uphill. But this more expensive pair will help you go uphill, you can see, but also downhill. There you go, so it helps you go downhill a bit, or flat. When you're operating these things, you can see that there's some pretty sharp bits and pieces around, and so I tend to wear, and when I'm guiding, I always wear a set of leather gloves, because if I'm adjusting people's snowshoes, I don't want to catch myself on this equipment. And on that subject, if you come across snowshoes, and they do exist, that aren't fully spiked and cramponed up, I'd avoid them. They're all worthwhile. These spikes mean you can walk on ice without a problem. In fact, if you could get spikes in your shoes, that would be good. You can. Don't take them snowshoeing, but yeah, my friends, my clients, they're better off with snowshoes on their feet when there's icy conditions because of all these spikes. Give you an idea of prices. These ones cost anywhere between 80 and 120 euros. You can go cheaper if you go to Decathlon. Their snowshoes cost about 75 euros, and they're just fine, by the way. And these we're getting up to 150 euros. And the big brother to these, which I don't have, but I'll put in a picture on this video. They can be over 200 euros, and they are flexible to try and give you a more natural walking gait, but I haven't bothered with those. You can see that they all hinge as well. That's very important. That helps you walk. If you were to try and walk without the hinge, you'd have this big flat plank on your foot, and it would be a right pain. So there's a clip you unclip at the back, which allows the snowshoes to hinge, just catching there, which makes walking easier. So don't forget to undo that clip when you go snowshoeing. Some people do the clip up to when they go down because they think it might help. It won't. This clip is just for transport. So when you're using the snowshoe, you want it undone, and when you're transporting it, do it up like that. On to footwear. You can use trainers with snowshoes. It's not perfect at all. Plenty of people do because that's all they've got. But if you have a look here, if I do this up for you, you can see the strap fits very nicely around a boot, and it would slip over the top of a trainer and end up irritating your ankle. So a boot is much better. This is a Decathlon boot, costs about €70. Is absolutely fine for this job, but it's not insulated, which if you're moving isn't generally a big problem. But if it's going to be very cold, I'd invest. And I must say, it took me a few years to buy these, so they're by no means essential, but a proper insulated snow boot. And when it's below -10, these are worth having, or if you're standing around. The professional level ones are Sovrals, which cost twice as much, and personally I find them a bit loose, a bit baggy to wear, whereas these fit better and cost a lot less. So there we go for shoes. Yes, I've talked about the fact that snowshoes are designed for different areas. On the floor I have this snowshoe, which is basically designed for North America. So if there's unconsolidated powder around, you want an even larger area. The reason I have these is for those big powder days, which are exhausting if you are breaking trail at the front. But also I had to try, I often have groups that weren't that fit. And when you're snowshoeing in certain snow conditions, quite often you're just leaving big holes as the leader. The second person has to help fill those holes in, and the third and fourth and fifth person get an easier time. But if I've got a group where I can't put the second fittest person behind me, I'd have to make the entire trail, which involves basically shuffling. So I used a pair of these, a super long pair, to make it easier for me to make a nice smooth trail for the people following me. But it's a pretty specific use, and unlikely that you'd want to buy a pair like these unless you're living in North America. Also, they have a fixing that is specific to using a snow boot, a big boot. This fixing actually does work with a snowboard boot. Snowboard boots aren't ideal for this job, but they can be used. And if I had a guest who was in snowboard boots, I might give him this long snowshoe to help him along. On the subject of ski poles, it's not complicated. Pretty much any ski pole will do the job. There is a difference between a ski pole and a pole you'd use for snowshoeing. You'd use a touring pole. So snowshoeing is mostly off-piste, so you want a bigger basket. A ski pole has a smaller basket, which is fine on the piste. It's a small thing, it doesn't make a big difference. The other thing is a touring pole is adjustable, which can be nice for if you're going up, if you're going downhill, if you want to stow the pole away. So if you're going to buy poles, adjustable one with big basket, and that's about all you need. I think that's about it. If you've got any questions, obviously put them in the comments. And it goes without saying, if this video was useful, give it a like. Thank you very much.